Good morning and welcome to Caretakers Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with taking care of our elderly disabled parents, our disabled spouses, our adult disabled children, and most importantly, ourselves. My name is CJ and I am your guide on this journey. And a couple weeks ago, I started a series on negative self-talk for caretakers. We're all guilty of it. I mean, everybody's guilty of it, but caretakers are especially guilty of it because we get exhausted, and when you get exhausted, you tend to allow negative self-talk to take over. So last week, I did a video on the best friend litmus test, and that was when you have negative self-talk, when you start thinking bad things and saying bad things to yourself, like you're lazy or you're not performing adequately, and all this. Say it as if you were talking to your best friend. And that way if it's cruel, if you said it to your best friend, it's cruel if you say it to yourself. So this week we're going to discuss fact-checking our inner critic. Now, I believe I have previously said that we should probably try and give our inner critic a name, because if we have a name for them, then we have a way of being able to it's not a abstract concept, okay? So give them a name. Johnny, Sarah, something. Just name it. That way you can go, no, we're not going there. That I'm going to suggest that you use your caretaker journal for, because that is an excellent resource for writing through what's going on in your head and in your heart. Unfortunately, we have a lot of we get exhausted, we get tired, and the more exhausted and tired we are, the easier it is for those negative thoughts to enter in. And so everything I'm doing for the next few weeks, and for the last couple of weeks, are all ways of helping us as caretakers be able to reframe everything so we can understand that we really are rocking it. I've said it before, caretakers are really superheroes. I mean, we can manage to do some amazing things, only we don't realize that we're doing these amazing things. I mean, I want you to think about this. You get up every day, you take care of your family, you take care of your loved one that needs medical help, you go to work, you make meals, you do laundry, you clean the house, you do meal prep, you put medicine together, you get medicine, you take people to the doctors. I mean, when you think about everything you manage to do in a day, most people can't manage to do in a week what a caretaker can do in a day. So there's some positive self-talk for you. So we're going to talk about our inner critic and fact-checking our inner critic. When we have that thought going into our mind that we're not doing right or we haven't done enough, we need to stop and think about, is it true? And that's what fact-checking is. So our inner critic is a master of the half-truth, right? It takes a tiny kernel of a mistake or a situation and grows it into a massive absolute failure, all right? Fact-checking is the process of taking those heavy emotions and putting them under a microscope to see if any of it's true or if they hold up to reality, all right? So the first thing I'm going to suggest is we do the always and never audit, because our inner critic loves absolutes, right? It says, I always lose my temper, or I never do enough. And I am really bad about the never doing enough, feeling like I've never done enough, especially if I get sick. I've managed to catch some sort of a chest head thing that I cannot get rid of. And so I have not been working up to my normal part. I've been resting and sleeping a lot more than I normally do. So that's what goes on in my head. I haven't accomplished everything I want. I need to do more with my time. I need to do less scrolling. So this is what's going through my head all the time. So the fact check is, let's challenge that. Is it literally, I always lose my temper? Or is it literally, I never do enough? Well, I don't always lose my temper. I mean, I do when I'm tired. I can get frustrated. So if you know for a fact you don't always lose your temper, well, your inner critic's whole argument's out, because it's false. You've just destroyed the entire argument of your inner critic, because you don't always lose your temper. You always do enough, and that's one we've got to work past, because when we say we never do enough, I never get enough done. Welcome to the world as we know it. We all have that feeling, whether you're a caretaker or not. Okay? So we can only accomplish what we can accomplish. Throw that argument out. We just can't handle that argument at all. Let's talk about quantifying the invisible labor. The critic focuses on the one thing we didn't do, like the dishes or folding the laundry, and ignores the 50 things that we did do. So let's go over that list. Whenever you feel like you haven't done enough, or you're like, okay, I didn't get this done, and you start to feel bad about it, go over the list that you did do. I got up this morning and I made Barbara breakfast. I moved cases of water to be able to bring them down to the basement. Go over that list of what you have accomplished, and you'll soon figure out, like I said earlier, we accomplish more in one day than a lot of people can accomplish in their entire week. And we just need to step back and go over that. If you need to, if you remember around the holidays, I suggested doing a list of things that, daily things that you need to do. Well, do a list of things that you've accomplished. Start that day off with a list of, this is what I need to do today. And then at the end of the day, go over a list of things that you actually did do. I mean, even the little things. Remember, take those wins. Even the little things count. I got up out of bed. I mean, we talk about the people we love, telling them, hey, you got out of bed today. That's a win. Congratulations. You took a shower. That's a win. We need to remember that for ourselves. We're a lot harder on ourselves than we are on those people around us. And that is one of our biggest issues that we have with our inner critics. So, like I said, do the fact check. What did I do today? And list everything you've done. Like I said, wash the dishes, swept the floors, picked up meds, prepped meals, work. You do all of this. And once you start listing what you did do, you understand that inner critic's argument is gone. It has no place here. You have just shown that it is not correct. And so you have to throw out the argument of that inner critic, whatever you've managed to name them. The next thing I'm going to do is suggest that you separate the disease from the effort. We're caretakers. We're not doctors. We take care of our loved ones' everyday needs. We can't heal them, and we have to understand that we can't heal them. We can't make them heal themselves. We can't make them do what the doctor says, although we do try. And we have to understand that even though that feels like a failure of us because they're not getting better, it's not, okay? We have to remind ourselves that we're fighting biology, we're fighting diseases, we're fighting viruses, we're fighting the mental and emotional aspect. All of these things take on our, put on our loved ones on top of the fact that they've got these diseases. When a person realizes that they're not going to be able to do everything they've wanted to do in life, and that they didn't complete their bucket list, and they may never be able to, on top of the fact they have a disease, now they have depression and anxiety. We are not responsible for healing them. We are responsible for taking care of their daily needs and helping them to the best that we can, trying to convince them they need to get up and they need to do this and they need to do that. But we need to understand that when they don't, it is not us. It is not a reflection on our care, nor is it a reflection on our love. All right? Success is measured by your input, not the biological outcome. We're doing the best we can. So the next thing I'm going to suggest is the HALT, H-A-L-T, assessment. Sometimes our inner critic isn't speaking truth. It's just speaking exhaustion, as I said earlier. So when we start to feel like this, we need to do some fact checking. Ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? If you're any of those, then your inner voice, your inner critic's facts are compromised. Because, like I said, when we're in exhaustion, the inner voice seems louder than when we've gotten lots of sleep, we've gotten good exercise, we've gotten a good meal. It's a lot harder for that inner critic to affect us when we are at our best. But the problem is, we're usually not. That's why I always say evening CJ is not as active and not as go get it as morning CJ is. I do my best work early in the morning when I first get up, and I hit the floor running usually. Not today, but usually. So we gotta pay attention. Are you hungry? People tend to, your blood sugar drops. People tend to be a lot easier to get angry. So that goes into anger. Eat something, relax, sleep, be a part of a community. That's what this channel is about, is trying to create a community for caretakers to not only learn from one another, but to be able to have somebody to talk to that's going through the exact same thing that you are. So, all right. You wouldn't trust a drunk person's opinion. Don't trust a sleep-deprived person's opinion for self-assessment. So, if you're going to do a self-assessment, do it in the morning, after your cup of coffee, after you've eaten breakfast, but not late at night when you're exhausted and tired. So the next thing I'm going to suggest is check the standard of care. We often hold on ourselves to a standard of a 24/7 ICU nursing staff, a gourmet chef, and a professional therapist combined. And we tend to be perfectionists. And the simple fact is, nothing's ever going to be perfect. And we are not any of those things. Yeah, we do some nursing. We make sure medicine is taken. We cook meals, but it doesn't have to be a gourmet meal or even the best meal on the planet. It just has to provide the nutrition. And sometimes you just got to try and get food in them. Case in point, when my mother-in-law was in the last month or so of her life, I guess we ended up spending just a buttload in food trying to be able to get her just to eat something. I mean, I would go to a restaurant and buy her whatever she said she wanted. Ultimately, she usually never ate it, but we tried. And that's all we can do. And that is not failure on our part. We are doing the best we can, but number one, we need to understand that perfectionism is you're never going to hit it, right? And if we were able to do all that, we wouldn't need nursing staffs or therapists or gourmet cooks. I mean, we can only do what we can do, and we need to make sure we understand that. We put ourselves to a standard that we ourselves cannot achieve. Our loved ones don't tend to put us to that standard, so we need to understand that we shouldn't be putting ourselves to that standard either. Intent versus impact. The critic judges you based on the impact of a mistake, ignoring your intent. Now, it's not necessarily a mistake. You could have just forgot to do something. You ran out of energy and you didn't get everything done. So our critics like, oh, well, you should have done this. You did it on purpose. And you didn't. Did you wake up intending to get upset? No. Did you wake up intending to be impatient? No. Did you wake up intending to be sick or tired or unable to accomplish everything on your list? No. So if you didn't wake up with that intent, don't hold yourself to it. I mean, we get where we don't have enough time, we're doing something and our loved one yells for us, but we're in the middle of something, so we can't necessarily stop, so we tend to get agitated, and we're like, just give me a minute and I'll be right there. I know I do that a lot. I don't mean to, but it's like I'm in the middle of something. As soon as I'm done with it, I'll be right there. I used to get really upset when I would do that, and now it's like I'm trying to notice when I do it. I tell Barbara I'm sorry if I got annoyed or if I sounded like I was upset, And as soon as I'm done with what I'm doing, then I go and help her. We got to learn that we can't hold that against ourselves. Our intent was not to provide poor care. We're going to make these mistakes. We're going to get stressed out. We're going to have moments where we're just freaking out because we're going in 20 different directions. And we need to understand we did not mean it with intent, nor were we trying to provide suboptimal care. I know that's one that we all feel guilty about when we just lose it and everything, but sometimes we just lose it. And we got to admit, we're human, and that's going to happen. So the next one is the independent witness test. If a friend or family member walked into the room right now, what would they see? Would they see a failure? Would they see a mess? Fact check. They wouldn't see a failure. They would see a person trying to do a very difficult job in a high-stress environment. And that basically sums up caretaking, especially the further along in a disease or in an aging process that you get. Stepping outside your own head helps to remove emotional bias and the tricks the critic uses to trick you. I brought it up before that sometimes what is most comfortable and most convenient for you and your loved one may look like a mess to the world. And there comes a point where you got to understand you don't need to worry about what the world thinks. You need to worry about what's best for you and your loved one. What is most convenient for you and your loved one? You know, I try to make sure that for Barbara, everything is as convenient as possible for her to get to. My mom's currently unpacking over at the other house. And, you know, I've told her the same thing. It's like, you need to make sure this house is set up most convenient for you, not for anyone else. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks, whether it's clean or a mess or what. It has to be convenient for you. And we need to remember that, because sometimes things freak us out or annoy us. Like, I get really freaked out with too much stuff. But also, they have to be able to get to stuff that they need. So it could be just a lot of stuff in a little area. So we need to remember that. I've got the resource reality check. The critic assumes you have infinite energy and money. And as a fact check, we need to acknowledge that we have neither infinite energy, infinite money, infinite time. We're doing the best we can. And we need to remember every day we're doing the best we can. We have limited time. We have limited sleep. We have limited health. And we tend to have limited patience. And sometimes it's the limited patience that actually gets us where we feel bad about ourselves. You cannot be judged as if you have unlimited resources when you are running on fumes. So we need to remember, no matter what that inner critic says, we are doing what we can with what we have. Then distinguish between feelings and being. Our critic tries to turn an emotion into an identity. So fact check, use the phrase, I feel like a bad caretaker, all right? But that doesn't mean I am a bad caretaker. I.e., example, like I said, I feel like a bad spouse, but that doesn't mean I am a bad spouse. Feelings are internal weather patterns. They are not your permanent biography. And our inner critic's going to try and make us feel just bad all the time. We don't want it to do that. We want to try and make sure everything works out well. We want to try and do our best, but we have to understand sometimes we're going to be our worst critic at all times. And we need to work on, I may feel like this, but I am not this. And then the long-term lens, the critic lives in the now. You're doing bad now, all right? Blowing a single moment out of proportion. So zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. I mean, it works for all sorts of stuff. So ask, will this specific situation matter in a year or in 5 years? We tend to blow up little things into big, massive things in our mind, right? Like, I forgot to put Barb's, I ran out of time last week because I wasn't feeling well. I did not put Barb's medicine together. So she was able to do it. And I'm thankful for that. That's an improvement, because for a long time she wasn't able to do it at all. But she put her own medicine together, I think the last 2 times. I was beating myself up about it, but she got her medicine put together just fine. And I was doing more stress to myself than she was doing putting it together. And in a year, maybe it's helped her to be able to do her medicine more often. Maybe it's helped her to do something else better. But in a year, is it really going to matter that I didn't do it? No. No, it's not. It's only mattering in that moment to myself. And here's the problem. When we have this, when we let this inner critic go crazy, it affects us mentally and physically, right? It'll cause your cortisol level to go up. It'll cause anxiety to go up. It can cause depression. These are all things we need to remember. Having this inner critic go crazy in our mind, it can cause all these other problems that we have. If we're not working at our best, then the inner critic just gets louder and louder. So that's something to remember. I'm going to attach in a pinned comment a fact check worksheet for caretakers. So it gives you something to visually go through with your caretaker journal. And whenever you have these thoughts, that critic going crazy, you can go through that little fact check worksheet and go, yeah, no, none of this is true. And, it'll walk you through the whole process. So I'll put that in the pinned comments. I hope this video has helped out. Next week, we are doing the thought labeling technique, so that'll be interesting. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and put your thoughts in the comment, not only on our inner critic, but on different ways that you help offset your inner critic. What are techniques you use to make yourself feel better when your inner critic's going crazy? Also, put the name of your inner critic down in the comments. So, I will see you next week, and have a great week. Bye-bye.